Something is happening in this country that I did not think was even possible. Americans are waking up and finally becoming class conscious. And the propaganda that once suppressed this awakening for years and kept them in line has failed at a critical point in time. Now, to show you what I mean, we're going to talk about conservative commentator Ben Shapiro and the way that he discussed the assassination of the UnitedHealth CEO, Brian Thompson. Now, he did his usual bootlicking because that's what he's paid to do. But he tried to make this a left versus right thing, and as you're going to see, his audience was not buying it. Now, before we talk about Ben Shapiro, I think it's important to note that we do have additional details about the assassin, and his politics were pretty ambiguous. So we know that his name was Luigi Mangione, and he followed liberals like AOC and Trevor Noah on Twitter, but he also followed conservatives like Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet-David. Now, he retweeted right-wing billionaires like Peter Thiel, but I mean, politics aside, he has a photo of an X-ray in his Twitter banner and apparently had books about back pain in his Goodreads and reportedly had a lot of medical issues in that regard. And in an Amazon review that he posted, he said that he thought violence was necessary to survive. So his politics can't fit neatly in one package. Like most Americans, his politics are kind of all over the place. But presumably, he had a bad experience with the U.S. healthcare system after suffering a medical issue and was radicalized by it as a result. But obviously, he took things so much further than others have who have suffered the same fate. Now, Ben Shapiro, getting back to him, tried to partisanize this issue and make it seem like it was just the left that was celebrating the murder of this healthcare CEO, even though everyone had the same response everywhere. But to be fair, Ben Shapiro did not know these details about the shooter that I know now at the time that he posted these videos. But one thing that was crystal clear was the fact that everyone, everywhere, basically had the same response, regardless if they were on the left or the right, because healthcare is something that all Americans have to deal with. And we all know that these private insurance companies are trash. They kill people, they murder people, they rip us off. So nobody had sympathy for this healthcare CEO. Didn't matter if it was in right-wing or left-wing circles. But the problem is that that didn't fit with Shapiro's narrative. So instead, he tried to turn this into an us versus them, left versus right thing in both of the videos that he posted. One of them was titled "A Shocking Target Attack and the Left Celebrates," and the other was titled "The Evil Revolutionary Left Cheers Murder." Now, before I show you how his audience reacted to that obvious bullshit, I do want to point out the fact that Ben Shapiro is just not a good person. He wants you to think that he's morally superior to you because you maybe liked a meme or an edgy tweet about the slain CEO of a health insurance company. But let's look at some commentary from Ben Shapiro himself. So on October 24th, 2023, when Israel was indiscriminately massacring innocent civilians in Gaza, Ben Shapiro shared this video to Facebook titled, "Gazan civilians are not innocent." Yeah, that's something that he uploaded. In other words, it's okay to slaughter innocent people because they're all complicit with the crimes of Hamas. But I mean, that was more than a year ago, so maybe he's changed his views about murder and whether or not it's good after seeing the evil left cheer for the murder of this CEO. But he hasn't. Because after clutching his pearls over the reaction to that news story online, he then celebrated the acquittal of Daniel Penny, the murderer who choked Jordan Neely to death on a subway last year.
The Daniel Penny verdict is in. He has been acquitted. Thank God. Thank God the jury did the right thing. I'll bring you all the details in just 1 second. First, this is your reminder that DW Plus gift memberships are 40% off.
Unbelievable. And he was presumably so excited by this news that he just couldn't wait to get to the studio to talk about it. But of course, before he talks about that, this millionaire had to first ask his audience to give him more of their hard-earned money before telling them why murdering poor people is good, but murdering rich people is bad. And if you celebrate the murder of a rich CEO who's responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent Americans, you're evil, according to Ben Shapiro. But yet he's going to say that, yet celebrate and rationalize the murders of innocent civilians in Gaza or poor people in the United States. Yet he's perfectly moral and you're immoral. This man is fucking shameless. And to be clear, I'm not cherry-picking examples here. Ben Shapiro routinely celebrates the murder of innocent civilians. He gleefully tweeted about Trayvon Martin's death, who was murdered at 17, and joked about Israeli war crimes in Lebanon that killed innocent people, including an 8-year-old little girl named Fatima Abdallah. And in case you're sensing a little bit of a pattern here, you're not alone, because he seems particularly excited about the murders of black and brown people. But if I point that out, I'm being woke and I'm playing identity politics, which is another thing that only the right can do. Now, I say that because Shapiro's associate, Matt Walsh, did just that. He tweeted the left is outright praising the first-degree murder of a health insurance CEO because he's a white male. If he was a CEO of the same company but was a black woman, you would not be seeing any of the gloating and celebration. I hope everyone understands this basic point. Sure, man, it's not because that CEO is responsible for the deaths of countless Americans and they've dealt with his company themselves. It's because he was white. That's why they were celebrating. Hey, just for kicks, I wonder if Matt Walsh praised murder recently himself. Oh, would you look at that? He's retweeting End Wokeness, who's saying this acquittal marks the end of the BLM era, so pop that champagne. And I guess they just had to include an image of Jordan Neely dying just for good measure. Listen, I need you to understand that these people are morally superior to no one. And the reason why they're so offended by the response to the health insurance CEO's murder is because they don't view what he did as criminal. Because in their mind, poor people are just disposable. Their lives are meaningless. So if they're mad about a family member dying due to a claim denial, tough fucking luck. Should have stopped being poor, I guess, right? They genuinely believe that rich people are better than the rest of us. But here's the thing. Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, but we're going to talk about Ben Shapiro for purposes of this video, completely misread the room on this one, because even though he's never had to think about healthcare a day in his life since he's a multi-millionaire, the same can be said for his audience, regardless of how conservative they are, because they're not as wealthy as he is. They understand how fucked up our healthcare system is. We've all dealt with a claim denial or unexpected medical bills, or we know somebody who has. So it's one of the few subjects where propagandists like Ben Shapiro can't lie to their audience. But he tried to, and it did not go well. For example, on the first video that he posted where he hypocritically attacked the left, he got 4 times as many dislikes as he did likes. And on the second video that he uploaded, he got nearly 7 times as many dislikes as he did likes. And in the comment section, you see Ben Shapiro's conservative audience wake up to the propagandistic role that he plays specifically in their exploitation and subjugation in real time. And it was really, really encouraging to see this. So here's some examples from both of those videos. They started a culture war, so we forget about the class war. Saw my lifelong hardworking father become bankrupt as a result of claims being denied after getting cancer. You were out of touch, man. Hate to break it to you, buddy, but it's not just the left who is sick of this. This just in, man with a $50 million net worth completely misses the point and is out of touch with the frustration of regular Americans. I'm not buying this left versus right shit anymore, Ben. I want healthcare for my family. Thank you, Ben, for showing us what a good dog you really are when it comes to defending your owners. Your rich privilege is showing, Ben. Not that good anymore at keeping the working class divided and angry at each other. Remember, guys, Ben has more in common with that CEO than he has with any of us. Quote, he had a wife and a family. Yeah, bro, so do the hundreds of thousands of people who are denied healthcare and die. Your business model requires us normal people to hate each other. Wow, maybe I've been wrong this entire time. Ben, I don't think you actually care about us. I think you just want our money. I think you want us to hate each other. Ben's net worth is around $50 million. He is a peer of Brian Thompson, not of us, the average American citizen. He makes money by generating hate and division. My brother-in-law died because they never approved the correct treatment for him. This is not a left versus right thing. I work in a factory in a deep red state. My coworkers all voted for Trump and wear his merch. They were laughing at the incident. It's not just the left. The perfect out-of-touch response from a rich kid who never struggled. And finally, starting to realize your entire career is built off getting ordinary working folks to hate each other. Wow. I could honestly read these comments all day. To see people wake up to the games that elites are playing is truly inspiring. I don't know how else to describe it. And if you're a conservative viewer of Ben Shapiro who happened to stumble upon this video, I know some of you have found my content because of my video that I posted about this. Allow me to fill in some more blanks for you and let you know the ways that Ben Shapiro is trying to obscure the harm that is being done to you at the behest of the billionaires who fund his channel. Propagandists like Ben Shapiro, they are funded by right-wing investors that benefit from his divisive politics, because if you're fighting us in a culture war, you're not going to be fighting the elite. You're going to be too distracted to fight them since you're fighting us. They want you to think that immigrants are the reason why you're not making more money at your job, so you don't notice that the CEO of your company, who just gave himself a raise, by the way, hasn't given you a raise in years, even though you're probably doing more work now than you were doing when you first started, since they laid off people and never replaced them because the company wanted to make a few more bucks. And it's only a matter of time before they replace you with a robot, not an immigrant. Don't be afraid of an immigrant taking your job in 2024 when they're creating the AI right now to replace all of us. They want you to think that black and brown people and DEI have made you less safe when you fly in an airplane, so you don't realize that the safety issues stem from the CEOs of these companies like Boeing cutting corners to save a few bucks. A black pilot didn't make the doors of one of their planes blow off. A female train conductor didn't cause the train to derail in East Palestine. Greedy CEOs who bribe politicians to deregulate their companies are responsible for these things. They want you to think that climate change is a hoax and that the people who are concerned about it are alarmist communists that want you to live in hobbit homes and eat bugs or some shit. So that way, you're mad at them for that, as opposed to the CEOs of fossil fuel companies who are destroying the only habitable planet that we all have. They want you to spot the woke mind virus everywhere you look, in video games and movies and TV shows, because if they're priming you to see LGBTQ plus people and people of color as the enemy, you're not going to realize that elites are your true enemy. They've brainwashed you into thinking that people who are different from you, they're the real threat. They're the real enemy. And they've bought off all of our politicians. They've rigged our entire system against us, and they're richer than ever while Americans are poorer than ever. Most Americans can't afford a $500 emergency, whereas multi-millionaires and billionaires are buying their fourth mansion and second yacht, and they're sharing photos of these lavish lifestyles on Instagram while your grandmother struggles to pay her mortgage on Social Security. They have no fucking shame. They have it all, and they want more. And it's a zero-sum game. You have to pay for these lifestyles. They're paying less taxes, and you have to pay more because they have the power. So fuck you. They got theirs, and they want more. They want you to have nothing, not even crumbs anymore. They used to throw us some crumbs. They don't want you to have even that. And billionaires like Elon Musk, who bought himself a position in Trump's administration, wants to take away your Social Security, even though you've paid into that your entire life. That's the immigrant you should want to deport, not some innocent abuelita who came here looking for a better life for her family. Elites lie to you about Medicare for all because these health insurance companies profit off of your pain and suffering. They pay politicians to lie to you about a single-payer healthcare system, and they say, oh, that's socialism. You should be afraid of it because our current for-profit system has made them rich. So they want you to believe that something better that all the other countries have adopted is actually worse for you. And if we had healthcare that was free at the point of service, the gravy train would be over for these CEOs. So politicians let us suffer and die so these companies can leech off of us some more. They're distracting you by pitting you against queer people and black and brown people, because if you're fighting them, you're going to be too busy to fight the people at the top who is actually fucking you over in a plethora of ways. And I am so glad that so many of you are finally waking up to this reality. But you have to understand that fellow working class people are not your enemies, regardless if they're gay or trans, black or brown, Muslim or atheist or an immigrant. They are not your enemies. They are not responsible for your economic anxiety. And even though you probably felt like the system was unfair, but you didn't know how to articulate how it was unfair, you probably noticed that the rich were doing pretty great. They were getting richer while you kept getting poor year after year after year. And people like Ben Shapiro tricked you into thinking all of those problems stemmed from immigrants or trans people. They tricked you into hating innocent people that are also getting fucked over by the same system that's fucking over you, right? CEOs are the ones that you should be hating. Billionaires, elites, oligarchs, they are the ones that are the cause of your pain and suffering. They are all of our common enemy. But people like Ben Shapiro turned us into each other's common enemy. He is paid to distract you while the rich robs you blind. It's the oldest trick in the book. It's called divide and conquer. And I am so glad that you are finally aware of it. And I would love nothing more than to stop fighting you in a culture war and instead join forces with you to fight in a class war. But here's the thing. That means the people that are going to fight alongside you have to be on equal footing. A trans woman would love nothing more than to fight a class war with you, but she can't do that if she also has to focus on her humanity when it's under attack, or if she fears for her life every time she leaves her home. An immigrant can't fight a class war with you if you continue to see them as the enemy and call for their deportation, and if they have to be worried about deportation or feel like they're not welcome in this movement. A gay man can't just fight the culture war with you if he thinks that his marriage rights are under attack, because he's got to take time to protect those gains that he's made too. So if you're serious about fighting a class war, you have to stop fighting the culture war first. And you have to stop viewing other people as the enemy entirely. Period. Full stop. It's already hard enough to fight a class war when your boss has you working longer hours for lower wages and you're already tired when you come home and you feel like shit. But if you also have to fight for your basic civil rights too, it diverts attention away from the class struggle that we all desperately want to be able to fight with you. So if you're serious about changing this country for the better once and for all and taking back the wealth CEOs stole from us, that necessitates you seeing the humanity in people that Ben Shapiro and his ilk have demonized. It requires you to accept that you not only have to welcome trans people into your movement wholeheartedly, but you have to fight alongside them for their rights as well, for their emancipation as well, because they're not going to fight for you if you're not going to fight for them. You can't have true class solidarity if you think that the people who are fighting alongside you should have less rights than you. And you can't expect them to join you in a political movement unless you unequivocally repudiate the divisive politics that separated you both in the first place. That is the first step. And I hate the term culture war because it minimizes something that affects people's lives in a profound way. We're talking about civil rights and basic human dignity. And you have to internalize the fact that none of us are free until all of us are free. Race, sex, class, it is all intertwined, and you have to see that. You can't expect marginalized people to postpone their own liberation and emancipation or put aside the fight for now, for civil rights in order to fight this class war with you, because we have to do both things simultaneously. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? So if you're serious about changing this country for the better, and you should be, and you really want to take on the rich bastards that are keeping you down and making you poor and keeping you that way, you have to stop fighting marginalized people and start fighting for marginalized people. And then they will fight alongside you. That is how you cultivate class solidarity. It is going to take a lot of time for you to deprogram yourself, because trying to resist years of right-wing brainwashing will force you to reckon with a lot of beliefs that are going to make you feel uncomfortable. You're going to experience cognitive dissonance and even anxiety. But that internal struggle is so worthwhile, because it is the true path to liberation for us all. So start by making yourself familiar with the arguments of trans people on YouTube. Listen to marginalized content creators about their experience. Have an open mind. And I promise you, if you extend sympathy to them, they'll extend it back to you. They're not evil like Ben Shapiro told you they were. They're just like you, trying to live their lives, and they want better lives for themselves and you too. And if you actually see your fellow Americans as equals, and you truly become class conscious, imagine how fucking terrified these elites will be if they know that politicians can't just win elections on divisive wedge issues anymore. Imagine how wonderful it would be if politicians in both parties knew that they couldn't win elections unless they promised material goods to the voting population, like guaranteed healthcare, housing, and not just the living wage, but a comfortable life that our grandparents had. All working people would be unstoppable for the first time ever in this country if this were to happen. So challenge yourself if you came from Ben Shapiro's audience, and understand that if you take the bait when Ben Shapiro or Matt Walsh dangles woke hysteria or LGBT groomers or DEI in front of you, you're playing into the hand of elites, and you're fighting minorities instead of the rich people. Resist the brainwashing and fight back, and that's how we all win.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games.
F around and find out.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Play stupid game. Pride. Trans rights are human rights. It is necessary to push trans on the kids. Pride.